Hello, everybody. I think everything's working. I think we're live. Let me know if audio is okay. Still getting used to having my face like eating the microphone. I'm going to run into that a million times. So tonight, and I'm going to be watching, I don't think, Joseph, can you or Nick send me another Discord message? Let me see if that came through. I don't think my notifications are working on it. Yay. So that'll be fun. I may just have to keep opening it and checking on that. If it's not working, I know Joseph or Nick has, I don't know if Joseph has my number. Nick, if you can just text me if it doesn't, it needs to be louder. Let's see. Let me see. Nick and Joseph, let me know how that audio is compared to what it normally is. Let's see what everyone else says. We will get started in just a moment because it looks like it's set right. So I don't want to go too loud. Okay, I'll get the number for you later, Joseph, or if Nick, if you want to give it to him. I'm waiting. It sounds great. Okay. Sometimes the audio, it will, and it's not that I'm thinking you're wrong, Mary. It's that sometimes the audio on these it like depends on your settings. And so sometimes I turn it up and I blast everyone else. So I don't want to jump to that again. I may have done that a few times. Okay. So tonight we're going to be working on this Meerkat and colored pencil. If you want to bid on this guy, you can do that over at my website, lachri.com, and I've got a link to the auction below. Now, I do want to make sure you know on this one, this style is going to be a bit more sketchy looking, not like if you saw recently the, what did I do? The Warbler and colored pencil where it's just fully color saturated. You get more of that painting type look. This one will look a little bit more sketchy. So you may, if you're not sure if you like how that look is, I've done, I mean, it's the same as what I usually do with colored pencil on the Canson Me10s, but you may want to wait until I get a little bit. I'll start with this head so you can kind of see where it's going to see if you want to bid. And the bidding on this guy will start at $55. Normally, if I sell something this size, this style, I would sell it for about 150, 200, 250. Right? We'll see how he comes out, but in that range. So the $55, you are getting a deal at that low thing. Okay, Michael's still low. Yeah, it's varying for everybody. And I'm showing, if I turn this up, I'm going to start peaking. It's already loud. So my main thing is just to, the best I can do, I think, is just make sure my sound is here. Yeah, this is, I hate if it's too low. I'm not sure what to do to fix that. I mean, I can turn it up, but I will blast people because I'm already peaking as it is, or I'm getting into the yellow, like, warning, you're too loud. You're yelling into the microphone. So let's see how this goes. One of the things that I've been doing is when I go back and edit these into the lesson chunks, that I can adjust volume and have a lot more control of than what I can easily tell here. I need a producer is what I need, someone else to run audio. Okay, so tonight, again, working on this. The bidding is in the link description. You can bid, it's only for US residents, just because shipping is a pain right now, especially overseas. So what else do I want? Oh, the mat. And if you are watching, I don't know if he's here, the person who won last week, he had messaged me saying he wanted the mat, but then it was just weird. My email's being weird. I don't know what's going on. I'm sending that one way or another tomorrow. I haven't heard back, and I don't know if he just didn't get my email. But anyway, this, if you want a mat, let me just show you what that'll be. This one, you have the option for it to come in a black mat, and it will look, whoops, let's switch over to this. So you would have something more like this, and it mats it down to an 8x10. The actual paper size is a 9x12, but when you mat it, you want to go with an 8x10, and that is going to be, it's an 11x14 inch mat, so it'll fit into an 11x14 inch frame. And if you want it matted, whoever wins this, you can get that added on for $15. And this time I was smarter. I actually took the time to my brain got shut off because I need to read that. I made a little click so you could add it on at the time you make the purchase. It's on the post, so hopefully it'll be easier. I'm figuring this out as we go along. So let's see. Can't get the auction link to go through. Huh. I don't know. I'm going to pull up and just see if I can keep Discord open as long as possible. Yeah, the Discord app is just not giving me any notifications, so I don't know. It's just, we have those days sometimes, so I'll try to keep checking it on my own. This will be fun. For those of you who have been to the previous live streams, what we'll be doing is, or if you haven't, I guess, what we'll be doing is going through step by step, just the drawing, focusing on that for at least the first hour. It's colored pencil, so it's probably going to take me longer. And then after that, we're going to be talking about a few things. So I'll be answering your questions. So if you've got questions, go ahead and leave them in here. And you got an error on the 4. Hold on. Let me see. Is it? Let me make sure, because I'm going to need you to check that if I've got the wrong link. I just checked it earlier and it was working. So we'll get started in just a second. I need to get started quickly, so let me quickly get this going. Yeah, if you go to lachri.com, on the front page, there's the link to the Meerkat right there. I'm able to get into it and I'm not logged in. Let me see if I just have the wrong description. I might. Let's see. I'm going to change this. And save. I don't know what is going on. You may just have to go the weird way. If you try to go through my website, just to lachri.com, because it's there, like I'm seeing it and I'm not logged in. So I think that my link is wrong on the stream. So what you would need to do is go to lachri.com, scroll down from just that front page. Wow, that's going to make things difficult. I did just change the link. So if you're watching this video, refresh it and the new description should be there for you. Let me see if I can get that in to the chat too. But you may have to just refresh the screen. So see if that works. The other option is just go to lachri.com. It's on the front page. Like it's like one of the first things you'll see there. You can just click on that. So it should work. Yeah, I'm getting a warning. Bitrate is low. I can't do anything about that at all. And yeah, luckily I am recording this. So when we get into the art part, if you're like, wow, I can't see what you're doing, it's getting blurry, or tomorrow I will have the edited fully, like everything will be good portion up. So there we go. Hopefully that will work. Okay, is the auction working? Yeah, something was weird on the link for, I don't know. I don't know why things happen. Okay, let me close that. And there we go. Okay, I think we're good now. Let's get started. So for this, I'm working on Cans and Me Tans. I am working on the smooth side. So when I work on charcoal, I like the rough side. And they're not that big of a difference. It's minor, but that's what I like. So here, because I'm going to be doing colored pencil, I like the smooth side better. And I've started by drawing it out. And the way that I drew this, I took my initial drawing and used a projector to project it onto this paper. And I used my colored pencil. It was just like a cream colored pencil or a tan with polychromos to sketch everything out. That way I don't have any eraser marks. Everything's nice and clean. You can also use tracing and transfer paper. Now, I don't like tracing and transfer paper if I'm working on white paper and I'm doing a lot of blending there, because you're going to typically use a gray or a black transfer paper to make that show up. And sometimes that's going to show up through your colored pencil work. So not my favorite way. But on your toned papers like this, you can use white and it's very, very easy to cover. So tracing and transfer paper does work for transferring your image when you're working with the Cans and Me Tans. And I'm using the wrong glasses. Okay, now I'll be able to see what I'm doing. Those ones are a bit too strong. Whoa, that looks different. Okay, so let's go back. So that is what's going on here, how you can get your image onto that. I have it taped down with an acid-free, pH-neutral tape. You don't want to leave your artwork taped to your board any longer than possible. If you leave this taped on there for months, it's going to be a little bit harder to remove. If it is hard to get the tape off, what you can do is take your hairdryer and just lightly heat the tape where you're going to be removing it, and that'll loosen up the adhesive and you can pull it off that way. Do it slow, and whenever you do pull the tape off, pull it away from the artwork. Don't pull into the artwork. You'll rip the paper. Pull away so you're less likely to have that happen. So a couple tips there. Now, let's go ahead and get started on this guy. I'm going to use my reference photo. You can get this reference photo over at my website. That link's probably wrong too, but if you just go to lachri.com, it is located there for you. It's on the front page. So go ahead and head over and you can get this reference photo. Whether you're following along or not, you can see what it is that I'm looking at. Okay, now I am going to start. Oh, and I don't think I even have a pencil in here that I need. I think I left it in my office. I'll have to grab a different one. I'm going to start by using some, well, first I've got to figure out, honestly, what colors I need, what's going to work well for this. Let me get a piece of glassine. Make sure that didn't have charcoal on it. Nope, we're good. I'm going to tape that so that I can rest my hand right on the paper there. Okay, and that is not the pencil I want. So most of what I'm going to be using tonight are my Derwent Lightfast and the Polychromos. And what I'm going to do is just do a few pencil strokes, see if that looks right. Yeah, that color looks good. And this color I'm using here is wheat. I do need it to be a bit sharper. Zoom in a bit there. I'm going to use some blue. I'm using turquoise blue by the Caran d'Ache Luminance. Let's get some of the highlights that go right around his eye in here. Yeah, I need to find my black pencil. So let's see if I can figure out where that went. You can look at the hounds while I look. Oh, that was actually weirdly easy to find. I had a new one or a clean one right up front. So there we go. So the black I'm going to put just to make sure that stays nice and dark right around the eye there. And that is very similar to the paper. Get some highlights around the eye. Okay, and then back to the wheat pencil. Let's get in where these lighter areas are going to go. Now, if I go too light, it's no big deal. I can come back through with browns or darker colors and fill that in. Just going to map out about where everything goes on his face. Now, I don't want to jump around too much. If I'm working here and then I'm down on his feet, like one of the things that a lot of people when they're newer, myself included, when I first started painting and drawing, if I had a certain color out, my mind said, put that color, like if I'm using blue, where else does that blue go? Let's just put blue everywhere right now. Don't do that. Break it down into a smaller chunk, a smaller section. That's going to make it much easier to tackle and really pay attention to what you're doing. When you're just going, okay, blue, where all does blue go? Your work is not going to look very good. So this is not a paint by number situation. We're doing a lot of layering and a lot of little detail. So you want to really just break it down into smaller little bite-sized chunks that you're focused on before you move on. And you don't have to use the same colors that I'm using. Close is close enough. It's mostly tans. The thing that you want to avoid, and especially in this case, no yellows. Put all your yellow pencils away. You do not need them. That will give you a very unnatural rainbowy look. Usually when you're drawing fur, there will be very, very, very rare times where yellow is a color that you want to use. And I know a lot of people think, oh, I'm drawing a golden retriever or a yellow lab. Yellow's in the name. Let's use yellow. No, that is not going to look good. Same thing if you're doing a portrait and the person has blonde hair. Yellow is not really a color you're going to use. This color here, wheat, is great. You'll use purple for shadows. You can sometimes use orange tones, but mostly it's the brownish tones and grays. And I'm not going to go too far down on the neck right now. I just want to fill in about where those highlights are going to go. And I want to pay attention to which direction the fur is moving in. Now this is small enough. I don't need to do a ton of blending with OMS. Not even sure I'll use that tonight. We'll see. But so because of that, I can start just burnishing and pushing a little bit harder because I don't need a ton of layers to get the look that I'm going for. I'm letting a lot of that background paper show through to create the look of fur. And also, side note, super excited. Just want to let those of you who are patrons know, I went to the zoo yesterday, finally got new photos. I've got hummingbirds. I got the most gorgeous photo of a coyote. I'm trying to think, what else do I have for you guys? I'll be editing them and uploading them in the next week or so. What else did I get there? Oh, a bald eagle. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I haven't loaded the SD card to see what they came out. I think looking at the camera, they look like they came out good. This bald eagle was just the photos on the camera anyway. I'm excited. There were some really good shots. I don't know how the hummingbirds, I've never photographed hummingbirds before, so we'll see how those came out. But I'm pretty excited about these photos. So those will be soon. And meerkats, that's what made me think of it. The meerkats were one of them. So those you guys will have soon. Okay, back to work. I'm kind of hitting a lot of these. Where are the light areas? Let's see, really light there. Now notice in here, it's more solid, but look at how in the background, I want that background black showing through so he looks fluffy. Few little hairs over his ear. I don't even need to fill in black over the ear. Just leave it as it is. Like that's, let the paper work for you. If you're using a colored paper, let it make things easier for you. Okay, I need let's see if this color, what is this? This is burnt ochre. Oh, and it's showing up well. So let me go ahead and sharpen that. Actually, I need a grayish tone too, probably. The boys will entertain you while I find a couple more pencils. You guys are supposed to be entertaining. You don't look like you're doing much. Can't you like dance around or something? Come on, help me out. Nothing? Very energetic hounds. Okay, found the pencils. So I've pulled out, actually this one should be good. Nougat? Is that nugget? Nougat? Is that how you say it? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce things. And remember, if you've got questions, you can leave them now. I'm not well, I am ignoring you because I'm not going to answer them yet. I'll be answering them at the end of the live stream. So go ahead and leave them if you've got anything. If you've got something specific to this, then or to this project, then the Joseph or Nick will send that off to me so I can answer that sooner. Oh yeah, we've got a bid on the auction. Wow, somebody's got faith in me if you already decided that it must be good and you haven't seen. Every time, as soon as the bids come in, that's when the pressure is really on because it's like, okay, now it has to be good. Okay, here we go. Focus. Must finish. Oh, this color is showing up. This is that nougat color. It is great for what I'm doing here. And it's funny because the polychromos are fairly translucent, being more the higher oil content than your other pencils. They're going to be more translucent. But man, do they show up good on black paper. You wouldn't think they would, but they're really good. But because they sharpen to a finer point, that's why I'm choosing this one right now. It makes it easier for some of the hair. So that's actually a good thing to talk about really quick. Why I choose, let's say, polychromos versus, why do I said that earlier today too, Prismacolor. I don't ever choose Prismacolor. That was never a choice for me. Why I might choose polychromos versus luminance versus Derwent Lightfast. So what determines which color I'm choosing? All of the colors are, or all of these brands are a combination of wax and oil. When we, as artists, talk about something being oil-based, what we mean is it has a higher wax or oil content, so it behaves somewhat differently. What a higher oil-based content means, which is going to be your polychromos, is going to be the oiliest, I guess. It's a harder lead, typically going to be more translucent, and because it is a harder lead, I can sharpen that. Let's see if you can see. Like, that's a pretty fine point. That's also not in focus at all, but it's a really fine point. because of that, that's going to be great for my tiny, tiny details. If I want to get something that's blended more smoothly, I want something with a higher wax content. Now, Derwent Lightfast does list theirs as an oil-based pencil. To me, in practice, it feels somewhere, it's like a really good balance between oil and wax. But that means it's also going to blend better. It's not going to get as fine of a point as the polychromos, but it's going to blend smoother. It's going to be easier to get that smooth, smooth blending. The Caran d'Ache Luminance is going to be the same thing. They're going to blend a lot more, a lot easier to get that smooth blending than with the polychromos. Now, it doesn't mean you can't get fine detail with luminance or smooth blending with polychromos. You can. You just adjust your techniques a bit. And so I choose them based on which is going to go faster, which is easier. So fine details, polychromos is my first choice. When I want smooth blending, my Caran d'Ache Luminance or my Derwent Lightfast are my first choice. Now, sometimes it's simply based on color. One of these brands may have a color the others don't have, and then in that case, that's why I choose it, not because it's a harder, pointier lead or anything like that. So just a few reasons why I might choose a harder lead or one brand over another. Okay. So this color, this nougat color, will work really well for some of the shadow under his chin. I'll still have to come back through with some highlights, but that's going to be good. Jason asked, if yellow isn't being used, what will be the buildup under the drawing? Never yellow. Yellow's more going to be for birds and such, birds, fish, flowers. But when it comes to, or plants, when it comes to animals, very rarely, like animals with fur, it is fairly uncommon to have an animal. This is Heather. It's fairly uncommon to have an animal where you're going to be using yellow. Yellow, it's just, unless you've got a yellow light, a yellow warm glow bouncing off the animal, the fur itself, the hair itself is almost never yellow. So in this case with him, sandstone would work, like an orangey red color or reddish orange, like a brown orange. Those are the colors that you want to go with, not yellow. Yellow's going to look weird, and especially up against the black paper. So here, this color is my burnt ochre. That's going to be really good as I get into this reddish orange color, or burnt ochre as it turns out. I'm not worried too much about my values right now or even the smaller details. I'm just mapping out what goes where. Now, there are rare exceptions when yellow will work in something like that on fur, but it is rare. So if you're not sure, just don't even pull your yellow pencils out. Let's see if I can map out. Actually, let's see how well my nightshade shows up on this paper. Not well. That's actually just going to work good for making my darks really dark. Okay, so I need to go back to the nougat. Now, if you struggle with deciding what colors to use, huge tip, use less colors. Most of these sets come in a set of 120, some of them right around there. You've got a lot of colors to choose from, and that can be very, very overwhelming, especially when you're new. If that is something that's kind of hanging you up and you're not sure what to choose, use less. Pick one orange. You don't need like 3 or 4 oranges. Pick one green, pick one blue, and figure out how to blend all of your colors to get the results you want. More colors definitely complicates things. It's much easier to make something look good with fewer colors and just blending. You're sure that those colors are going to work together too, because you didn't use very many and most of the colors you're blending came from the same small set. Most of my time will be spent around the face. Once we move into the body, that will go a lot faster. And even as I go in here, it's not that it's a ton of tiny detail, but I still want to make sure that fur is moving in the right direction. Don't just make a couple of pencil strokes, realize it looks good, and then think, oh, I'll just do more of that one. Yeah, it's probably not going to give you the results you're looking for. Now, as I get in here, I've filled in a bit too solid. No problem. I'm going to come back through with either nightshade or black and see which one looks better. Nightshade is working, and pull in some of those dark hairs again. I'm going to let this nightshade fade up into that cream color or wheat that we used earlier. I'll use a bit of white on some of this. Just sharpening my pencils really quick. And the sharpener that I'm using, let me show you that. These are just these smaller Coom handheld sharpeners. These are definitely my go-to sharpener with colored pencil. I'm just gonna twist that in there. And I keep a mason jar with my shavings just right under my easel, so it makes it really easy for me to sharpen quickly. I used to use mechanical sharpeners, but I started having issues with them just burning through pencils too fast, and I've bought a few that were defective, the sharpener, not the pencil, when they needed to be replaced. And I just went back to these, and I was really surprised how much I'm able to save in my pencils. Like, I don't burn through them nearly as fast when I just use these little handheld cheapy guys. Oops, pushed a little too hard. See, that would not, pushing that much pressure with the polychromos would not have broken. But because this is a softer lead, being the Derwent Lightfast, that's why that is going to snap. And it's just the nature of how hard or how soft the lead is. If you're using a really soft lead like Prismacolor, that's going to, well, it's going to break because it hates you, but it's just going to do that. And like, they just break constantly, no matter what you do. So have fun with those. But with these, if you sharpen to too fine of a point, they are going to snap the softer the lead gets. And a lot of what I'm going to do in here are just little dots. Oops. Let's get that lighter color. So this one is ivory. That's my polychromos. Whoops. Even that one was sharpened too much. Tip broke there. Pull just a little bit of highlighting in here. Got the shine on the eye. I don't think this brown will show up. Nope. That can get put to the side. Don't need him. And then we move way off, back down into that more golden tone, so the burnt ochre. But on this piece, as much as possible, I want to use my polychromos because I don't want them to blend too. Like, I'm not trying to get super soft blending. I would rather have fine detail. Just because this is kind of small for the amount of detail I'm trying to fit into it. Watch how that fur switches. This gets a little confusing in here. We've got the fur moving in a lot of different directions. Tiny little detail, so I'm going to use my polychromos there. Oh, I already like his cute little eye. Some tiny hair, so again with the polychromos. Go in some different directions. So notice that I did this in a couple of layers. I had that nougat, so that brownish tone first, and now I'm coming through with tiny little fur marks on top of that. Okay, so that's mostly mapped out at that point. Now I'm just going to focus a little bit more on details and values. I pretty much can see where things go at this point. Oop, no, not white. That'd be too bright. Wrong choice. So I'm just going to let that lay into the black a bit. Break up some of these black lines, but I'm going to come back through with both the black, or either black, doesn't really have to be both. The black and here is the nightshade to get those darker areas in. Oh, a new patron. Yay, thank you. Welcome. I just use a real light hand to barely lighten that. I go back in and pull that back over the nightshade as well. Let those two mix together. I'm not pushing hard to get that transition. So I get that really pretty purple in there when I lighten it with the ivory. Nightshade's this really deep dark purple. That is a pencil. If you don't get any other Derwent light fast colors, get Nightshade. Get at least that pencil. That's one of mine that I just cannot do without. So right now this blue's really light. I will tone that down a little bit with Nightshade once I get it mapped out a bit better. Now I'll always spend just a bit of extra time around the eye, around the face. You can see how the fur starts switching directions again here. If you struggle with fur, this project is great for practicing that. Just getting in the hang of watching the direction that it goes in. And I am pushing a lot harder for these last layers because I don't need to do a ton of blending on top of them at that point. Little dots. Oops, my glass scene sliding down there. I would like to get a little bit more of a golden orange color in some of these. So let me try a few pencils and see what stands out more. Yeah, that one's kinda. What was that one? Was Indian red. We've got sanguine. Let's see how that looks after I sharpen it. I think I like that better. Yeah, that one works. I'm going to lightly go over a bunch of this here. And I'll soften it up with the ivory right on top. I'm going to push a bit harder over here where I really want that ivory to stand out. I'm super excited to get moving on to the body. I think that's going to be the funnest part for me. This part I actually have to pay a bit more attention to. When you get into the body, it's not as big of a deal. You can certainly start being a little bit more loose as you move around with the colors and the shapes. And if the hair is going in the wrong direction, it's not as big of a deal as it is here where we're working on the face. The face definitely matters more. So I'm really liking how this color looks. This one, still the burnt ochre. So that combined with the sanguine, I think is a good combination. And then we've got that darker color. What do I want for the dark? Let's see. Decisions. Actually, I might use the brown overlaying that. Yeah, that'll work. That brown that I put away earlier, the burnt umber, will work well for some of these shadowed areas in the neck. I may come back up, and I'm sure I'm going to do a little bit more work around the face once we move. I get a little bit more done here. So as we get into here, close is close enough. It does not need to be absolutely exact. Just don't make things too uniform. You don't want to have where everything's exact, like every brush stroke is or pencil stroke is going the same direction. If you do, it is not going to look very natural. Jason said, if you use another background for the color for the paper, can you use get the same results with it? Or can you get the same result for the end result? So the difference if you use, let's say I used a blue paper, then I'm going to have to put in more black. But other than that, the pencils are going to work pretty much the same. You're just going to use your black pencil more or the nightshade to darken a lot of where I'm just leaving the black paper showing through. But if I used a blue paper, I would intentionally leave a lot of the blues showing through so that it felt a part of that color, like if that makes sense. It makes everything work together better. Okay, I'm going to use some with the white where I want it to be a lot brighter, and then I'll switch back to the ivory. So I'm often asked if you can do a lot of what I do without using odorless mineral spirits. This is a good way to do it. This with that fluffy fur, I don't need to do a bunch of blending. I don't even think I'm going to need any blending with OMS tonight, which makes things easier because then we don't have to worry about the dry time. Now because he's against that black background, I'm going to leave a little bit more black showing through too than what the reference photo has. And see, now I can start loosening up my pencil stroke a lot as I move down. Now watch in this whole area, a lot of this fur is aimed at the viewer. So a lot of this is just going to be little dots, little teeny brush or pencil strokes, not the huge strokes. That'll help give him more dimension, look a lot more realistic. So I'll lighten a little bit with the ivory, but not too much. That's going to be pretty dark in there. Yeah, that brown works really well for these darker areas. It gives a nice transition between the blacks and the golden tones. Oh, I like this guy already. I'm excited. I was a little bit nervous if I was going to be able to move through a colored pencil piece fast enough to finish the whole thing during the stream, but I think we'll be okay. I mean, a longer part of the stream will be the artwork, but I think we'll be okay. See, now that nightshade into those deepest shadows. But I'm not covering all of the brown. I want to leave some of that showing through. I want to get those deeper areas to make that look darker, like it's further in shadow. It makes everything look much more three-dimensional. And I'm pushing pretty hard right now with that nightshade. I am really getting that in there. Let's switch over. Where was that reddish brown? I have way too many pencils in my hand right now. Okay, I lost one. Huh. Did it fall on the floor? I really did lose it. Well, oh, here we go. Was that the, yeah, Sanguine, there it is. It has been found. Now this whole area needs to be lightened up, but I need more of this reddish gold tone. Pull that in. I'm going to come in through this with the ivory and let that lay into the color. Let them overlap each other. Now these lines, it is really important. They are not perfectly straight. They are all very slightly curved, and this is going to give you a more natural look. If you do a bunch of straight lines, it looks a bit too confetti-like. And they all overlap too. So I'm not just going line here, line, you know, just random lines all over. See how they group and cluster and overlap. Clumps and clusters are a really big deal when you're making something look like real fur. Or the same thing, even grass, feathers, anything like that. And because I have that nightshade, as that ivory mixes in, I'm going to get this really pretty purple tone pulling out. Now I'm pulling the fur this direction too much. I don't like it. What I'm going to do is take my perfection eraser, pull some of that up so I can correct the direction of my fur. I'm getting, just because I think it's because of how I'm sitting and reaching around the camera, my hand is just going a certain direction. So I'm going to pull it out this way more. Much better. Okay, let's move this over. Actually, and if you were here last week, you guys already saw this, but while I reposition the glassine, you can watch a message from the boys. Without treats, these puppies are so sad. Your Patreon pledge of only $4 or more gives them cookies of happiness. Act now, and the bad cow gets a treat too. Oh, and you also get over 300 art lessons and a new one every single week, plus other rewards. Sign up at patreon.com/Lachri. Okay, there we go. And it looks like Discord suddenly decided to work. I don't know where that came up. Am I missing? Nope. So, okay, Nick and Joseph, Discord is now giving me notifications. So, bonus there, I guess. Weird. Okay, so I've moved my glassine over, and now we're going to start working on the body. And this is, we really need to watch the direction of the hair. Pay attention to our values. Do not cover all of your darks. We really want a lot of the darks on this to show through, a lot of the dark paper. Okay. The ad is a bit louder than the stream. Okay, I'll have to... I had that. It should have saved from last week. It all should have been exactly the same. Like, I didn't change settings. I don't know why it does what it does sometimes. So I apologize. And that, no, I think you're probably right. I turned it way down because it seemed like it was too loud earlier. Oh, well, I will have to, I don't know, figure that out. We've got, let's see. Is the bidding not working for you guys? Or their auction bid details, place bid. Yeah, it's showing me the bid history, if that's... You never know with all of this technology what's going to decide not to work last minute. Okay, now what are we on to? Let's go with the yellow ochre again, or burnt ochre, sorry, not yellow ochre. What did I just say about yellow? And here I am saying yellow. Let's just confuse everyone. Actually, I think I'm going to map out my really light areas again. Some long little wispy furs. I need to sharpen that pencil. few little guys sticking out there. Don't go too crazy with these longer ones. Go. And I'll fill it a bit more solid here. Right along the little hand. And across the top of his foot. Now I'm going to leave the rock really sketchy. We're just going to fade out into what's very obviously like colored pencil sketch. It's not going to look realistic on the rock. So we'll get less and less detail as I move down. I just want to block in so I don't fill in where I don't want to with the really light colors. A few little patches of the lighter area. And don't worry too much about messing things up. As you saw earlier, I was able to just erase and rework an area where I got a little bit, wasn't paying attention, and the fur started going the wrong direction. So we've got that sticking up here a lot. And I'm not going crazy with any of the details, just want to make sure I know what goes where. Okay, I think that gives us a lot of the really bright areas in addition to here. Actually, I'm not even going to worry about the back right now. I'm going to worry about this zone in here. Otherwise, I need to take my own advice on work on a small section and focus on just that so it doesn't get too overwhelming and you lose your place. Now, right now, see how these are really, really light? It's no big deal because now when I go over them, it's going to make my burnt ochre a lighter version of that burnt ochre than it would have been over the black paper. So we've got that nougat color for these darker areas. See how this turns that way. We've got some smaller dots. I'll get highlights in there too. Let me come back through with some nightshade and break that up. I'm pushing a little bit harder so that gives me that smoother look. Then those dots. Now this method, because I am pushing harder, this does start to tire out my hand. You may need to take a break if you're pushing really hard like I am. I know because I have arthritis in that hand. It doesn't like when I add that much pressure for any real length of time. I mean, it'll be fine for this live stream, but I wouldn't be able to sit here and work for hours on end like I might normally. I'm going to layer now that golden color right over it. Same thing over here. It's a little bit more solid, not quite as stringy with the fur. And then where did my nightshade go? Again, with the way too many pencils in my hand, losing track. Now lightly blend out the black into the nightshade so I get a better transition into the golden color. I can take a few dark details in there. Make sure you're spending more time looking at your reference photo than you are your actual artwork. I've got some new bids coming in on this guy. He is up to $60. Yay! Then again, if you want this matted, whoever bids on it, I put a link. It says like click here. It's not a good link, but it'll work. But that if you do want the upgrade to the matte, you'll just click on that. Because apparently my email's having some troubles. Everything seems to think it's spam. Keeping these really sharp. It starts to switch direction downwards. Up here, it's flipping back up. He has one mess of a bed head. Bed body? Bed, that doesn't sound right, does it? And it flips back up this direction. Like, seriously, it is going and then back down the other direction. It is all over the place. Really look at that photo. It doesn't have to be exact, but you do want it close. Switching over to ivory for some highlights in here. This is really fun. Just don't rush it. It definitely will feel overwhelming if you're trying to get it done too quickly. So I'm actually going to move all of these other pencils that are sitting on my easel right now. I am going to move these completely out of the way. So I have the ones I'm using, and I just have a pile of them that I pulled out that I thought might be helpful. I'm going to simplify this. I'm really not using them anyway. I don't feel they're needed. Did I use this color? What was this? Terracotta. I didn't need it. Let's put it to the side. That'll make it easier to find what I'm looking for. I can actually set them down now because there's really not that many that I'm using. Okay, back to work. That was enough of a break. Oops, that needs to be sharpened. Now, another thing you can do if your pencils, I don't have one over here. Hold on, I will show you. So where is that located? So I have this little sand tool. You guys see these a lot. They come in drawing kits. A lot of people think these are for sharpening your shading tools. They're not. They're for sharpening your pencils. Don't sharpen a shading tool. It doesn't need to be sharpened. You'll ruin it. But what I can do, this pencil is pretty sharp already. There's not, I mean, it looks sharp, but it's not quite as sharp as what I want. So all I'm going to do is just twist that, and I can get this nice, really fine point. My pencils are going to last so much longer if I do that instead of just sharpening every time I want it a bit pointier. So now I've got that nice pointy bit, and my pencil's going to last longer. But that is what those are for. It is not for sharpening. Oh, that's wonderful. It is not for sharpening those shading tools. You will ruin your shading tools with that. And I know there are videos telling you that's what they're for. That's because too many people don't know what they're actually for. Okay. And a lot as we move down here will be ivory and white. So here we've got more of the golden tones. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to sharpen that right along here. Just twist it and pull it back and forth. Nice and pointy. And that's going to get you sharper than a sharpener would get anyway. Perfect. Double checking 1 second. Let me make sure there's not a problem with this. Send art to Australia. Is my... I don't know what's going on with the plugin, huh? I don't know. I may have settings on that wrong. I don't know. It's new to me, the auction plugin. Apparently, I don't know how to use my stuff. Get some highlights right in here. Pull that up a bit further, and then I'll layer some of the other tones into it. Right on top. Then I'm going to come back through with purple, or not purple, the nightshade. If there's a specific problem on that auction, let me know. I can probably... Actually, I don't even know if I'm allowed to change anything once bidding has started. It may not let me. If you have not already, please subscribe. Please hit the like button to let YouTube know that you like the video and you want other people to see it too. It helps. Share the video. That really will help a lot because YouTube doesn't like to notify people anymore when content goes live. So that will really help too. Oh, he's already looking so fluffy. These are those little teeny guys kind of going in all different directions here. But they're not just scribble directions. They're not just all, like when I say all directions, I don't literally mean like, don't go crazy. They group, they move in almost rows. So really look at that on your reference photo. Oh, good. Nick said just had to reload the page once and it's working fine. Yeah, I don't know what happened. But yay. So we've got this shadowed area here. I'll use that nougat again. And that fur is much softer in there, so we'll let it just be a bit more solid. Oh, I kind of want to keep this guy. I mean, I don't know what I'd do with him, but I'm a little jealous of whoever wins him. I'm liking him more than I expected. I love when that happens. Let's get some highlights in there, and I'm going to overlap that right over that golden tone. And I want that to fade into that shadow. So what I'll do is come back through in here now with that nightshade and pull the nightshade over everything that's around it. Just watch the direction of that fur. Flips back up this direction. Few little dark bits in here. I'm curious, for those of you who are artists watching, are your own walls covered with your artwork? Let me know why they are or aren't. I'm really curious. I'm surprised sometimes when I go into these just fabulous artists' homes and all their art is stored away and nothing, their walls are just blank, nothing on their walls. It always surprises me. I got into painting and drawing because I wanted stuff to, when I was a teenager or preteen, I wanted stuff on my walls. I didn't have posters and such like my friends did, so I started drawing stuff on the back of paper bags, like grocery store paper bags, or just cheap art paper, white art paper, and taping those all over my walls. So it's always interesting to me when an artist has a lot of artwork completed, but they're not hanging them. Now, right now, this is very flat because I don't really have the shadows and such built in. We'll come back through and fix that up. Actually, let's do that now. I'm going to take a little bit. This one is my Caput Mortem. I'm going to lightly go over and just tint some of these. Okay, let's start working on this area. So this really starts moving in rows. Watch that. Don't worry too much. It doesn't need to be perfect. I know I've said that a million times, but it really doesn't. You just, close is good enough, but do make it at least close. No one's going to notice if you have an extra stripe or two or not enough. My problem is I ran out of wall space for all of my own artwork, so that's why I have a lot of stuff stored. And I normally hoard it all, but lately I've been trying to actually make an effort to sell it so some of you guys can enjoy it, because otherwise they're just sitting stored because I'm a hoarder and I don't want to give them up because I'm all attached to them. Time to let some of them go. I actually need to update what I have available on my website soon. See what I mean? The body, everything goes much faster. That face is what takes the longest. Get that curving around in here. Go back to that cream color, flip a few of those out. And if you're working, let's say, on a blue paper, you'll definitely spend some more time getting the black areas, the darks in. But in that case, let some of the blue show through and be an added highlight. You've got those little dots where the fur is aiming a little bit more at the viewer. Okay, I need to get some gray tones in there. Let's see how Mars Violet works. That one is luminant, so it's not going to keep as fine of a point. It's a much softer lead. Oh, but that is a good color. We'll do a little bit with this one. That also means if I introduce a new color, I need to put it in a few other places so it doesn't feel like, wow, that was nowhere else in the piece. So you can see I'll pull it up into the face a little bit. That brings everything together better. And of course, we've got to darken some of our darks up. Actually, I think I need more of a gray. Let me see what I've got over here with, actually, you guys.
Without treats, these puppies are so sad.
That was an accident. That was not supposed to happen again. I am hitting the wrong buttons. Okay. Great. There we go. Let's see how this one, it may be too light still. Nope, that's actually perfect. So this one is cold gray. Warm gray probably would be better, but whatever, this works. Actually, I don't even think you'd notice a difference because of the way that I'm mixing these. But that gives me a bit of a variation, so it's not just straight white where it's flat. This starts pulling in some other colors. Okay, let's go back over to our nightshade. I'm going to sharpen that on my little sanding block here. I'm giving it a decent amount of pressure here. I want this to be pretty dark. Sharpen that pencil. Still adding a good amount of pressure there. This whole area is really flat. I've got to pull some highlights in here too. See how it's all one solid color? That's not going to work. Let's get some highlights on the tips of these. There we go. Much better. I can also use that gray from earlier. See, he's got the hint of his nails. Most of this is in shadow, but we've got some little detail in there. You've got 50 minutes, it looks like, still to bid. So some of these, notice it's kind of a dot, like a chunk, and then it fans out into the row. But you've got these thicker spots within that row. So don't just make stripes going all the way across. Break those up. Same thing in here. I need to come into this arm, get some of these darks in. And the nice thing with using nightshade instead of using black, when it gets into some of these orangey tones, you get this weird, ugly, muddy color. But with nightshade, that really doesn't happen. Let me know, do any of you have a certain color and colored pencil? What color and what brand can you just not live without? Nightshade is mine. Now I'm going to start pulling some blues in parts of this, so I'm not going to go too crazy with that shadow here yet. Get a little bit on his foot here. Just a hint of his nail. And I'm going to move this over so I can get his tail. And that will be really loose. And then we'll do a little bit of color correcting. So I'm going to keep this pretty soft. As we move down into that rock, we're going to get a lot looser anyway. few little hints of fur. Need to sharpen that pencil though. Now, I will often avoid that grainy, gritty look that you get with colored pencil on paper. This one, I mean, I've got it in a lot of the areas here, just the nature of the style I'm going with, but this is going to be one of the examples. This is an interesting thing. If you've got that reference photo, look at the tail. Using, no matter what paper you're using, working on it. Let's say I was doing something where I'm going super detailed, super blending everything, looks like a photo. I would take advantage of getting a grainy, gritty look in that case, because that's what the photo, I mean, that's what the fur at the tip there looks like. It looks like he's got mud and sand all over it. So you don't need to overblend that. So, and that's one of the things that I'm taking advantage of here. The colored pencil naturally kind of wants to get that look. Let it. There are cases where that is going to make your life easier. Don't feel like you have to blend everything. Few highlights, but most of this is going to be in the darker colors. And I just kind of want to let that blend out anyway. I'm not going to put any more detail down there. Where did my my nightshade is in my hand. There we go. That's really all I want to do, minus where I come through with the blues. Okay, let's get the hint of the rock. I'm going to use that nugget. I'm going to keep this just sketchy, just that hint, so it's really artsy looking. Holding that pencil to the side, very rough. I'm going to tone part of this down where I want it more in shadow. Even though I'm not going crazy with the detail, I will come through with a nightshade and darken some of that up. So even though I want it to be loose, I don't want it to be flat. Leaving a lot of that black paper show. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with my nightshade. I'm going to hold it to the side. I'm not trying to completely cover the nugget. I just want it in shadow. And I'm going to pull out highlights too over the other parts. Let's see how you can see it, but it's pushed way back. Here, I just want that hint. Toning that down. I'll use the ivory. Don't go crazy with the ivory. I just want a little bit of detailing in here. Or not detailing. That is the wrong word. I want a little bit of highlights. Some of this is off camera, I know. It's the same thing, it's just fading out. There we go. Okay, now we're just going to work on a few details, and I want to start getting some of these blues in there. So you know me, I love outlining or getting that blue reflection hitting one side. We're going to be doing that, and I'm going to be doing that with two colors. The Caran d'Ache turquoise blue and the Helio blue reddish from Faber-Castell, or Polychromos. Yeah, Faber-Castell, that was correct. So let's get some highlights in here. Now, right now, some of these are going to be really bright. I'll be toning that down with the darker blue. So like here, I want that to be a lot darker. Just go right over it. And if I had used this blue, like you can see as I go over the black, you can't see it. It doesn't do anything. I've got to put that lighter blue down first that's more more opaque. And then I can just tint it. It gets this beautiful, beautiful like reflection, whether that's sky or water reflecting on him. It just looks so pretty. Pull that into the fur a bit more. And I'm not going to go super crazy with that. I'm not trying to make a big rainbow color. You know, I'm keeping it pretty simple. A little bit. I'm going to need to move my glassine over. And that is keeping my hand from smudging anything, but it also keeps any oils from my skin off the hand. Or off the hand. No, it keeps it on the hand. It keeps it off the paper. We want to keep that archival, and people juice, not archival. It's rather gross, actually. I think just adding that bit of blue, and it's more of a stylized thing. There's nothing about it that I'm doing that is correct to the reference photo, but it just looks so nice. I do it on just about everything. A very stylized look. And then anywhere where I want to darken that up a bit, just go back over that with the blue very lightly. Sounds like somebody is kicking in their sleep over there. Yeah, is Wade... I'm guessing he's running in his sleep again. Oh, he's not going to do it now. Line that ear just a bit with the blue, and then I'm going to come back through with a darker blue. We are almost done with this guy. Push part of this back in. I'm pulling that blue now along the side here. Are you comfy over there, Wade? What are you doing? Goofball. I could layer this into the areas too with the blue where the nightshade is, and it's just going to tint it a little bit. Now, I want to see more. I like where the blue is hitting here. I want to see a little bit more of that blue under his chin. So I'm going to do the same thing. Let's pull some of that through with that lighter blue. And then I'll lightly go over that again with the darker blue. Like I said, if I would have just done this with the dark blue, it would not have shown up like this. Correct the shape of his nose. And I may come through tomorrow. I usually do and make tiny little adjustments. Nothing that you're really going to notice, honestly, but little tiny things when I have fresh eyes, because I've been sitting in front of this now for an hour and a half almost. My eyes are getting blurry. So I may come back and see just something minor, maybe a little hair sticking out here or there. Like it would be very, very minor. He's just about, oh, I'm loving him. I'm so excited about him. He came out so much cuter than I expected. I mean, he's a Meerkat, so he's going to be cute, but this is a good one. All right, let's get a few more little highlights, and then we're going to answer some questions. We'll talk about art. I'll be getting a new hand cam soon. I ordered one from Elgato. Actually, I'll tell you that story once this is over. Sort of not impressed. Very not impressed with their customer service, but whatever. I am excited about an upgrade coming because they screwed up from someone else. And whoever wins this, I should be sending this out tomorrow. I want to send this one and the one from last week. I was waiting to hear back from the person, but I never did, so I'm just going to go ahead and send it. But that will be going to, I'm hoping tomorrow night. Oop, pushed too hard. If all goes well. So I'm going to break this up. This is really solid. I'd like some areas that are a lot brighter. Let's darken some of this. This is the fun part to me. Okay, I don't want that one. I'm actually, that Indian red is just a little too red. Let's go back to Kaputmortem for the darker. Yeah, that's better. So Derwent Lightfast has two colors in here. They've got Arctic and white. They are almost the same. I am telling you, you will not notice the difference. I use them interchangeably. This one's Arctic, and it looks just like white. Both are nice and opaque. I'm going to pull a few of these highlights now to find them a bit more with that white or Arctic. So see, I'm just going through little spots that need to be touched up. I thought I might need the touch-up texture titanium white mixture on this. I really don't. Everything stuck super well. I got all of the details I wanted. So I'm not going to be doing that on this one. I actually like the polychromos better for those little lines. They're a little bit thinner. Just about done here. And there's Nightshade. Just break that up a little bit. Blue's a little bit too blue. Let's go over that with Nightshade just to tone that down. Actually, and that won't look as bright. It's over because of the lights being so bright on here. That makes it look a lot brighter too, but I still want to tone that down. A little bit too colorful right there. There we go. Much better. Okay. Now, I have to decide where to sign that. So, what I'm going to do is take my mat and hold it up to about where that would be matted. Whether I mat this for the person or they mat it, I still want to make sure the signature stays within this. I'm going to pull my camera out a bit here. Hold on one second so you can see that a bit better. So this is about where that mat would hit. Don't worry, if you're getting a mat, you'll get a clean one. This is the dirty one I keep reusing that, well, it's dirty. Okay, let's take, which pencil do I want to use? I want it to show up, but I don't want it to draw more attention to the signature than the artwork itself. So I'm going to choose a color that I've used throughout this. We'll go with, this is the burnt ochre. I'm going to put the signature right here. So that way, look how far up this is on the paper. This is a 9x12. The paper is 9x12. So if I had signed all the way down at the bottom, that would have gotten covered by the mat because it's intended to be an actual 8x10 finished piece. So that lets me know I'm not chopping that off in my mat. There we go. And that way the signature will show. I could even put a little bit of blue on that. There we go. So that guy is all done. Oh, I'm in love with him. He is so cute. Like I knew he'd be cute. I wasn't sure how cute he'd be after this much work, but there's a couple spots I have a feeling I'm going to come back with fresh eyes and do a few little things, but that's pretty much where he will be. So yeah, that worked out really well. So fluffy. Okay. So you still have, if you are going to bid, oh, look, see, I didn't get this Discord notification. I'm having issues. Let's see. Patrick, you are watching right now. Patrick, did you want the mat? Because I'm having problems with my email and it keeps getting returned to me when I messaged you about the mat. You said you did, but then it's getting bounced back as spam, mine being spam. It's a problem on my end. I don't know how to fix it. But if you're watching, I've been trying to get a hold of you to make sure. Patrick, yeah. So anyway, let me know. I'm shipping that tomorrow. Okay, so we've got a bunch of questions we're going to be going through here. But the first thing that I want to talk about is the, let's see, question that came in this week. Somebody had asked about using water with acrylic paint. So there is a video that's on YouTube. It's about, I don't know, 10, 12 years old. I don't know how old it is. It's been there for a while. It's got tons of views. And I don't know why the artist kept it up. Well, I think she kept it up because it has so many views, but it's complete misinformation. And it's been pointed out that it was wrong. And her solution was to just turn off comments and not actually correct and go, oh, I was just wrong about this thing. So this video tells everybody it's using these fancy terms like honeycomb structure and molecules are binding and blah, blah. And it sounds like she knows what she's talking about. And it's this fear-mongering video that tells you cannot use water with acrylics. Don't use water. If you do, barely use any because it's going to break apart. It's going to flake off. It's going to chip off. It's not going to do any of those things. That's all a lie. None of that is true. It sounds like it makes sense. But if you use words in the right order with the right confidence, you can convince someone of anything, as it turns out. This is not true. That is not practical. Golden's themselves has done testing, like actual testing, not honeycomb theory testing, but like real testing. And they showed that you would have to use like somewhere between 90 to 95% or more water in order to cause any issues with the paint not binding to the canvas. It's just not true. You are totally fine using water with your acrylic paintings, thinning it down. No one is using 90 to 95% water. Like why there'd be no reason to paint at that point. Like that's less than a watercolor would be. Like it'd be too translucent. There'd be no point. So it's not even something you have to worry about if you're using a quality paint. So that I do want to throw out there. Golden's, you're fine. Grumbacher, you're going to be fine. Any of the Liquitex, even the Liquitex Basics, which is what I use, you're going to be fine. That paint is not going to flake. It's not going to chip. That's all made up Fantasyland thing. Now, when you've seen that happen, we've seen paintings where it's chipped off. Usually it's one of a couple of problems. One, the canvas. The canvas, sometimes the artist, or when it's made, somebody might have had oil got somehow on the acrylic gesso, and then acrylics aren't wanting to stick well. I've seen that. I've seen where somebody used a paste that got that like molding paste to get that texture, and that started to flake off. That's nothing to do with what we're talking about here with the acrylics. The acrylic paint, once it's dry on the canvas, once you varnish it, it's not coming off. Like that's it. If you're using a good paint. Now, if you're using a cheap paint, like Royal Langnickel was one, God, who made some of the other ones? Dowler and Rowney. I am not saying those right. But those brands, they don't want to stick to the canvas at the best of times. So I'm not even counting those in this. But you can use a mixing medium if you want. That's kind of what the one video I was talking about earlier was pushing, was use a mixing medium, don't use water. You can use a mixing medium, but it's a very different painting experience. I don't like the results I get when using a mixing medium. It makes it kind of gooey. It dries weird. I don't like it. It dries at a weird rate. It's a little too fast. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. I'm using water. I've been painting this way for, gosh, 30 years. I'm old. It works. Nothing's been damaged. I've painted that method on tables that I then stood on, that I had next to a saltwater tank for 10 years and stood on it. I used it to stand to get into the tank, spilled salt water all over it. Once it's varnished, that paint's not coming off. No problems. Like I was rough on that. Nothing came off. And all my stuff's thinned down quite a bit with water. So you are perfectly fine using your water and acrylic paint together if you're using a quality paint. And I will put a link to the study or the testing that Golden's did on this if you want to check that out. But it's fine. It's not really an issue. I mean, acrylic paint, if you thin it too much, it's going to, like, let's say you thinned it so much that it's not as adhesive anymore. Because the more water you add, the less adhesive it is. Once you varnish it, no problem. It's not coming off. But let's say that happened. You just paint over it. Like I don't even, I'm making it more confusing than it needs to be. It's just not something you really need to worry about. So I want to clear that up. It's kind of been a headache for a lot of us who paint in acrylics and know what we're doing, because we are constantly being questioned about that. I heard you couldn't use water with acrylics. Yeah, you heard from somebody who, like, that video was just make believe. It was monster under the bed, make believe. It got a lot of views because it sounded scary, but it's not true. You're fine. I'll put a link to the Golden's testing in the video description when I edit this. So that was one thing. Let's see. The next thing I wanted to bring up, very common. Should you stick with one medium, or can you work in a whole lot of mediums at once? If you are just getting started with art, or you've been doing it for a while, are you better off focusing and perfecting one medium or doing lots? My attitude is there's nothing wrong with you working in a lot of mediums. Art is art. So the things that are hard with art are paying attention to detail, noticing things, looking at a reference photo or looking at a live model and noticing the little details, noticing where is it light, where is it dark, where is a harsh line versus that needs to soften out, noticing things. It doesn't matter what medium you work in. Those things, same across the board. Your values are what matter. How light are your lights? How dark are your darks? Those are the things that are going to make a difference in your work. And it doesn't matter if you're doing that in charcoal and graphite and acrylic paints. Once you get the general hang of using the medium, which you're always going to have a little bit of a learning curve when you switch from one medium to the next. But you're talking a difference of months versus learning all of the other things: values, contrast, composition, paying attention to your details. That's what takes so long to learn in art, and it doesn't matter what medium you're working in. The actual learning how to paint with acrylics, couple months, you should be pretty comfortable with it. I mean, the longer you paint, obviously, the more and more comfortable you're going to get. But the thing that's going to make the difference in your work are your values, compositions, contrast, all of those other things I was talking about. That's the part that takes so long to really get good at and really make your work look good. You can work in any medium you like. You can switch around. You can go from medium to medium, because no matter what you're working in, you're still learning those core foundational things that will make the difference in your artwork. So whatever you have fun with is what I say go with. Don't force yourself. I don't think there's any reason. If you just like colored pencils, stick with colored pencil. Doesn't matter. That's totally fine. But the thing that's going to make it difference isn't your technique and your practice and perfecting the way that you move the pencil. The thing that's going to make the difference in your work are those other elements I was talking about. So it's not going to hurt. I don't think it necessarily hurts or helps you. It doesn't really do anything switching from one medium to another. You're learning about those main art, like, foundations either way. Okay, let's go on to the questions. Oh, yay, another bid came in. What is that at now? Let's see. $65. Yay. Okay. You've still got 25 minutes to bid if you are interested in this guy. His face is a little bit washed out. There we go. You can kind of see a little bit better there. Okay. Pulling up some questions now. Where did Discord go? It was just here and it disappeared. Here we go. Sonic said, why use purple for blonde hair? So that's actually a really good question. You think of yellow, you've got, well, yellow. What's your complement to yellow? Purple. And even though I said we're not using yellow in, let's see, I'm trying to think how to explain this in a way that it makes sense, because I feel like I'm already making it more confusing than it needs to be. Let's say you're doing blonde hair, you're typically going to be using tans, creams, grays. You're not, and then the purples, that's going to be your deeper shadow. You don't want to jump to black for your darkest darks. Now, I'm not saying you won't use black, just use your purples initially. But that purple can be the color that tones down. Let's say you're using like the color I was using earlier. What was that? The burnt ochre. It's a sort of, let's pull it up on here. It's this golden color. So a color that's going to be more neutral to this blue is going to kind of muddy it up. That's, well, you may look at that and think orange, so blue would be the complement. That's going to kind of get muddy. Purple, though, will give you a really good shadow blending into this without getting muddy. You blend black into this color, it's going to get kind of muddy. And this would be a color I would probably use on blonde hair too, depending on how the lighting is. With blonde hair, depending on how light or dark it is, that's going to make a difference too. because my hair, you can see it's kind of it's natural, so it's more of a darker color. I'm going to be using more of that color. I would have brown. I'm just looking at the camera right now, deciding what colors I would use for these deeper areas. I would end up putting black in the deepest parts, but I would do purple first so that it blended down into the orangey gold tones. I don't create that muddy mess. When you mix black up against some of these golds, it does not look good. So I'm going to save black for those deeper parts on top of the purples. It's typically going to look a lot better than using black for that. And you're dealing with, when you're using a lot of these grays and such, it looks better. So I'm trying to think of how to word that in a way that makes a lot of sense. It would make more sense if I was doing a demonstration, and I may do that coming up. Maybe we'll do a lesson on like just painting blonde hair, brown hair. I think that would actually be good because we can talk about color more. I will plan on that being one of our live streams coming up for sure. Because it's one of those things, like, I'm having a hard time wording it. I'm also really tired, but I'm having a hard time wording it in a way that I think makes sense. So let's see. Lydia said, "Hey Lisa, if you are trying to build a follower base online and you are posting fairly regularly, have you at times felt burnt out, and how have you managed that in the past? Thank you." You can certainly feel burnt out. One of the things I would say, don't try to post on every platform. I remember in the beginning, I was posting on Tumblr, which is kind of a joke now, but I was posting on Tumblr, Facebook, also a joke, Instagram, Twitter. What else was there at the time? Google Plus. And of course, YouTube. And I was trying to post all of my content to everywhere. And you will really get burnt out. I would say pick a couple of platforms, one or two that you really want to focus on, and post there. Don't try to post everywhere. You can also do batch posting. So as building a following, as you know, you have to post regularly. If you're not, it's very, very not going to grow very easily. So when you're doing that, you can do that in a batch. Let's say you've gotten a bunch of one of your old paintings and you've got, or just sharing a bunch of your old paintings. But let's say you had in progress photos. You can schedule that on some of those. Not all platforms allow it anymore, but some of them you can schedule. So I know Facebook business page does it. Of course, they're never going to show anyone, so it's not like anyone will see it anyway. It's so different than it was when I used to do this, or when I was building it up initially. But you can schedule it so that let's say you spend one morning and for 3 hours, schedule a bunch of posts or have them ready to go. So you're not sitting there constantly throughout every day posting. So that's one way to go. But don't worry about all of them. Twitter, I don't find to be great for artists. Like, people just go there to argue about politics for the most part. I mean, I automate there. I post sometimes. I do like it occasionally to call out companies when I've had issues with them. You want to get customer service fixed, you post on Twitter. I don't know why, but that's a thing. So it's not as useful. I do like Instagram. Well, Instagram's owned by Facebook, so they're harder. You're not seen by as many people as you used to be. Instagram is the main. Instagram and MeWe are the ones that I mainly use at this point. If Facebook works for you, go for it. I don't trust Facebook with my business. I won't rant on that forever, but the short version, if you're new, a couple of years ago, they deleted my account, or they banned me and made me do this really creepy, like, ID thing, like, look at the camera this way, now look at it this way, look at it. It was so bad. I had to send them a copy of my driver's license. Why does a social media platform need my ID when I'm not paying for anything? I'm not buying anything. I lost complete access to my business page. I spent years building up. I lost all my photos. I lost everything. And people say, well, you can download them. You can download your photos still. You can't. It was not allowing me to do half the stuff that they claim you can do if that ever happens to you. No, I would have lost everything. And so I don't really post Facebook. I post just to send people off that platform. If I post to Facebook, it's to tell you, hey, go over to Patreon. Hey, go over to YouTube. Hey, go somewhere else. I don't post up like original content photos and posts and stuff there anymore because of that. But the point is, that's a side rant. I have a whole video on it, but pick your platform that you're going to focus on, in just a couple. Don't try to do all of them. That will get you very, very burnt out. And if you can do things in batch, if you can schedule them, Facebook business page allows it. Instagram business page does too. But my understanding is if you switch your Instagram to a business page, no one will ever see anything you post again unless you're paying. So a lot of people have tested that. And even if you change it back to personal, too late, done. And already no one sees stuff on Instagram. So to think of it getting worse is just, yeah. So anyway, that kind of That kind of, I guess, is it. Yeah, I've definitely gotten tired and burnt out, but if you can do things in batches so that you're not constantly having to do it all week long, like let's say on YouTube, I can schedule things. So I'm going to spend tonight, tomorrow, and let's see, tonight and tomorrow. Actually, tonight and tomorrow should be all I need. Maybe Friday a little bit, but I will get everything edited in those days and uploaded and scheduled, and I don't have to touch YouTube again. I'm done. Well, besides responding to comments, but I don't have to upload. I'm not going to upload every day. Like, let's say I have a new video tomorrow, Thursday, no, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday for sure, I will have new videos. I will upload them all tomorrow. So I'm not they're done in a batch. And that way I'm not constantly, if that makes sense, having to do those. Okay, let's see. Do I ever experience sickness with the Derwent Lightfast? Stickiness, not sickness. Let's try that again. Paige said, do you ever experience stickiness with the Derwent Lightfast? Depending on the paper you're using, depending on the layering you're using, you're going to experience stickiness with all of the pencils, every single brand. So it's like the waxiness to it. So I know what you're talking about, but yeah, that's just all colored pencils will do that. Jack said, I was wondering, have you ever had a period of time when you had a job and had to find time to do art? This is something I sometimes worry about for myself. Was this an issue for you? I'm someone who gets myself to the easel. It's just that I worry about not having time at all for my passion because of needing to put time into something else like a job. So when I started this off, I was working full-time at an animal hospital. I was cleaning houses, and I continued cleaning houses even after the animal hospital. I've always, until YouTube really took off, I mean, I was always working full-time in other jobs. Trust me, I did not like cleaning houses, but I was doing that for many, many years. Yeah, but you have to give something else up. So I didn't have a life. I wasn't going out with my friends. Like my friends, I was younger at the time, so friends are going out to clubs. I didn't go out. I didn't go out to the movies. I didn't go out and do a lot of stuff. It was rare that I did those things because I had to work and I had to come home and paint. That was the only way that I could do everything that I wanted to do. I also played violin a lot at the time. And so I was playing in the Claremont Symphony Orchestra. I was playing at my church. I mean, I had so much going on. So yeah, you're going to have to kind of balance out some stuff, you just have to give some stuff up. I did not watch a lot of TV. That was one of the things that I had to give up. I remember when there were nights where my husband had a friend come and his wife come over. I hung out in the same room with them, but I was painting because I had to get something ready for an art show I had coming up. So yeah, you're going to make sacrifices. You can do both. It is absolutely possible. I did it for many, many years. So don't worry about that. And the nice thing is when you have another full-time job, it does take some of the pressure off painting. So if you don't get your painting done in time or anything gets hung up, you're not in a rush. You're not in the same rush you are when you're doing art as a full-time thing. So there's some definite benefits to having like a regular or a different type of full-time job with a steady income and then doing your art when you go home. But yeah, there are going to be things that you have to give up in order to make time for the art for sure. Okay, next. Is there a big difference between glassine and wax paper? I don't know if wax paper is acid-free or not. It looks the same to me, like just by a quick glance. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if the wax comes off when I genuinely do not know. I know that glassine is completely acid-free or pH neutral. It's something when I store my artwork, I put a piece of glassine in between each of the pieces. Or when I ship the artwork, I wrap it in glassine and then put the cardboard on top. I would not trust wax paper to that because I don't know what it's made from exactly. Someone else may know more. I just personally don't want to risk it. Like, it's not saving, glassine's not expensive and it lasts a really long time. So it's not saving enough money to use wax paper to cheap out on that. Let's see. In response for the question I asked about displaying the artwork, Fight Art Studio said, I've run out of space because my art is everywhere. Nice. Caution Artist at Play said, yes, my artwork is all over the house and my friends and family's houses. Right there with you on that one too. Nia said, I'm a beginner artist, but I don't like the art on my walls because I'm too self-critical. Hopefully that will change with time. Joseph said, of course, I can't fit anything in my closets anymore. Living room, hallway, spare bedroom, my room, taking the foyer, I can never say that word, foyer, for whatever walls is next. Jason said, I do not put things on the wall because growing up I wasn't allowed to put things there because of furniture or the future resale of the house, so I keep them in folders and finished art stands. That's interesting. Yeah, no, I was always allowed to put things on my walls, but my family was poor, so I couldn't afford anything to do that. So it's like paper trash or trash, not trash bags, paper grocery store bags or whatever, and all over. So yeah, that's very, I'm the opposite of you. I was always allowed to put things on my wall. We just didn't have anything to put there. I was not allowed to paint the walls though for that same reason. I wanted when at my parents' house when I was a teenager, or even like right after high school, I wanted to paint a mural on my wall. My parents wouldn't let me. I got married. That month, they had me back painting a mural on my old bedroom wall. And the reason originally was always the resale. My parents are still in that house. They've been in that house since 95. But they would not let me paint that wall until I moved out. That mural is still there, though. I would have enjoyed it while I lived there, but okay. Let's see. Nancy said, I have as many paintings hanging as tastefully as I can, plus a couple by Lisa. Yay! They give me ideas on which direction to go from here. That's awesome. Jay said, my art is on the wall, but I also have art from different artists and different levels of art to inspire me. That's cool. And Daisy also has art on her walls. Okay, let's see. Naya said, how do you determine when you're finished with a colored pencil drawing? Any tips on when to call an artwork done and not mess with it any further? For me, it kind of goes back to the question about when my brain shut down again. I'm really tired. I missed my nap today. I can tell. But anyway, how I decide when a piece of work is finished is, can I hang it on my wall? This is my general rule. Can I hang it on my wall right now? Will I pick it apart? Or would I feel it was finished? If I varnished this right now, would I regret it? Like if it was an acrylic painting, would I regret it because I can't now go back and make changes? If I can't varnish it right now and feel confident that it's done, then I'm not done. I need to figure out what that is. So that's my general rule. Is there anything I dislike about it? And there are a few tricks you can do. Put your work upside down, back away and look at it across the room. You will notice things popping out to you, or maybe the balance is different than you want the end result to be. You'll notice things you just did not notice before. But that's pretty much my method or my mindset is, can I hang this on my wall right now and feel happy about it? If not, it's not done. That was always a very hard thing when I was younger too. I remembered I had somebody that I could sort of mentor type situation where I could show him my work and be like, is this done? And he'd tell me, no, go back and work on it more. And I wished I had that when I was no longer had that. So yeah, that's been my new rule is, can I hang it? Will I be happy with it? If not, keep working on it. Let's see. Jack said, if you don't mind me asking, how many years did you have to balance a job and doing art in your own time? I suppose it's just about finding a flow with it. Let's see, I graduated high school in 95. And it was probably, God, when did I go full-time with art? 2003? No, 2002, right around there. But even then, I wasn't really full-time. I was no longer working in an animal hospital. Before, I had worked at pet stores. I worked at an animal hospital. I worked at Costco. Like, I worked cleaning houses. I usually had more than one job at a time. Most of the time, I had 2 jobs. So on top of doing the art and violin and all of those other things. But so not quite 10 years I did that. But it would have been though, because I continued cleaning houses until, when did I stop? 2006, 2007. So yeah, about 10 years, I would say I was doing to work and going with every free time I had, painting or drawing. Let's see. Whoops. No, that is not the app I meant to pull up. April said, I've lived in apartments most of my life, only allowed to put my stuff up either on the fridge or wall if I could find a way that would not damage the walls. No. See, here's the trick. You just need to learn how to fix the walls after. My last apartment, I have always got my deposit back every time. I have always put an insane amount of holes in my wall. I mean, full on holes. but I patch them up and I repaint them before I leave. So I've never had any complaints. I've never had any issues with that, any of my apartments. So yeah, no, it's not. I know some people are pickier and worry about that, but you know, it may take me a couple hours. In my last apartment, I had nailed so much to the wall to make my backdrop because I had these wood bars nailed to it with canvas over them, and there were a lot of holes in the wall. There were holes in my ceiling to hang the. I had holes everywhere. I mean, if I were to count them, I don't even remember. I had holes everywhere. You just learn how to they're easy. You get this cheap little like well, I don't know, inflation, everything's more expensive. So it's probably $200 now, but you get this little thing and a putty knife and you just fill the hole. Actually, there's a few different ways you can different products, but you fill the hole, patch over that, let it dry, and then match the paint to it. And what I always did in the apartments I lived in, because I'm pretty neurotic about things being clean and perfect all the time, so if a wall gets scuffed, it's going to drive me insane. So I always had their maintenance people, they would give me a little container, like the last one gave it to me in a Ziploc bag, or Ziploc container, not bag, and had a little bit of the colored wall that my apartment was. And so when I left, I patched up all those holes and then repainted it with the original color, no problem. So that's what I do. Patch a wall with toothpaste, that's a hack. No, don't do that. There's proper materials for that. Don't use toothpaste. Toothpaste ends up shrinking too much and it's not like, no, don't you just get if you're going to put the hole in the wall, get the real stuff. Let's see. Have you or would you try something watercolor? I've never heard of it. Don't try new things. Not new brand, or no, wait, let me back up. I'm not really into trying new brands that much. I used to be more open to it, and the more like Holbein kind of ruined me on a lot of that when Holbein became available over here and their customer service was so bad. I don't trust a lot of them. I trust the tried and true, the brands that have been in this industry for a very long time. And yeah, sure, that's not fair to the smaller company. I don't trust most of them. I trust Brush and Pencil, I guess, is a new product or newer. And I absolutely trust her because I know the testing that goes in that she went through to make sure that this was all archival. Most places, most of the stuff, most of the new stuff that I see come up, it's just cheap crap out of China. And what they'll do, they'll use it for, let's say the Marco Refine, whatevers. They will use those. Once they start getting negative reviews or whatever, they'll rebrand. And it's the same dang product. They do this all the time on Amazon, not just art supplies. That's why you have certain things where it's like, wow, you're using the same picture, but it's a different listing and a different name. Yeah, because they keep using the same stuff and rebranding it because the other one was people realized was terrible quality. I don't do terrible I'm not risking my artwork with terrible quality. I'm at a point in my career where I'm not experimenting. I'm doing things that I sell. Everything is available for sale. If I can't sell it, then I don't want to do it. The only exception for me on that is going to be obviously Inktense. You guys know how much I love Inktense because it's just so much fun. And there's nothing else quite like it. And I can sell prints because I can get it done really quickly. Oh, we need an Inktense live stream. But anyway, yeah, that's, no, I haven't heard of them. I have no intention to try them. That sounds super elitist, doesn't it? But it's irresponsible for me to be risking my art with these little newer pop-up places that are not going to last. Derwent's going to last. Faber-Castell's going to last. Caran d'Ache, their brands, Liquitex, I trust them. I trust their quality. They have a history of quality. So yeah, that's how I look at that. Where do you get the mats you use to mat your artwork? Golden State Art is the company who makes it, and they now sell on Amazon, so you can get them there too. I need to start putting a link to that in my video description. How do I vent my space? Oscillating fan or just open windows? It depends on what I'm doing. Right now, nothing. I mean, I'm not using any products that are dangerous, but let's say I'm airbrushing and it just gets really cloudy in here. Ideally, open the windows and oscillating fan. Oil painting, open the windows if I can, open the door if I can. I don't really worry that much about it. I never had any issues with it. I may regret that one day, but I'm a rebel. Or wait, no, that's not the word I'm looking for. No, not adrenaline junkie. That's not it. Risk taker. I don't know the words I'm looking for, but besides nap, I'm looking for the words nap. But yeah, I'm not as cautious as I probably should be with oils. You probably should open that up a bit more, but it is a big room, so it's not that bad. But yeah, open windows, oscillating fan, those will work. Or mine's actually a ceiling fan, not an oscillating. Let's see. Dalton said, I love to make my own filbert brushes. I make them out of broad brushes, and they work as sturdy as the average filbert brush, which saves me money. Nice. Oh, so the one story I had mentioned earlier about upgrading some of these materials here. Only 4 minutes left to bid if you're going to bid on this guy. Also, that is the cheapest, seriously, $65. What is it at? $65. If I were to sell this, I would not sell that for less than about 150. So if you're looking for a low cost, this is a deal. And you've only got a couple more minutes left. But the thing that I wanted to mention too, I need a nap. Did I mention nap? Where was I going with that? The Elgato. Okay, so I upgraded most of my equipment with Elgato. I got the Stream Deck, which I love. I got the new microphone, the Wave XLR. I got the 2 webcams here. I got the lights, the 3 key lights. And I mean, I went all out on all the Elgato stuff. Well, I ordered another webcam to use for the dogs. And I ordered that, I don't know, it should have been here last Monday, like over a week ago. So, well over a week ago. So it came in on Tuesday. I get it set up, and when you shook it, you could hear it was broken inside. And they shipped it in an envelope, which is like, you put a box in an envelope, and I'm kind of like, oh, that wasn't super safe. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it was damaged in shipping or what, but it was, you could hear it rattling really bad. And I was like, well, let's try it. I hooked it up. It was flashing. It was broken. Didn't work. So I contacted them that night. That was last Tuesday, not yesterday, the Tuesday before. Like, hey, broken, need a return, or, just want a new one sent out, and I'll send this one back. Took them 2 days to respond. They do not have an easy way to do returns. That is one thing I will give Amazon. Returns are very easy. It took 2 days for them to contact me back. And when they finally did, they required me to pay another $160 for the replacement camera. And then they'll refund me that when they receive the one I'm sending them. Weird. Fine, whatever. But they would either do that, or they had to wait to send the new one until they got the old one back. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to wait. I wanted that for that live stream. So I paid the money, and they said they would ship it out Friday. I'm like, great, that'll be here in time for this week. So yesterday, they still had not shipped it. And that was Tuesday. So I contacted them, like, if you haven't shipped this, cancel it. Don't want it anymore. Done. I'll get something else. That's when she sends a thing. Oh, we're shipping it tomorrow. Okay, that's now you're 5 days after you were supposed to ship it. No, refund me. I'm done. Refund me for both charges now, because now I've paid twice for this camera. So I'm like, no, refund it. Oh no, sorry, we already shipped it. Convenient, isn't it? So I contacted her back. And I'd been nice all that point, but now I got a little bit like, okay, this is ridiculous. I want you sending me a label to return. When that gets here, I'm sending it back. I want my money back. I'm done. So yeah, their customer service, it's Elgato, and Corsair owns them. Horrible customer service. I ended up ordering, though. The good news is I ordered a Razor. They just came out with a new webcam that looks phenomenal. So I ordered one. I'll try that for the face cam. I'm going to try it on the artwork too. I don't know which will be better for that, so we may upgrade that. But either way, when that one comes, the boys are getting an upgraded camera. I'll readjust the room camera. I really want it to feel more like you can see the whole room, like you're in here with me. So we've got some fun stuff coming, which I'm excited about. Jack said, are you a good morning person, or do you have I have coffee, and I'm still not a morning person. I hate all things to do with morning. Okay. Let's see. New bid for auction. Oh, $75. Yay. Okay, let's see. It should be ending anytime. I should get it's over. And we'll see who won that one once I get that notification. Now, next week is going to be I'm going to be working on a mixed media. We're going to be using the Canson M10s. It's going to be a butterfly fish, and I'm going to do it in charcoal with colored pencil for some of the colored highlights and stuff. So that'll be fun. That is going to be that one's not going to be auctioned, because it was a prize, like a giveaway I did over at the Humble Fish forums that I use for the saltwater fish. So we'll be drawing that one. The reference photo is it will be on my website. I'll get all that uploaded tomorrow for you if you're going to draw that with me. But I will be auctioning off an acrylic painting of a yellow tang. So I'm excited for that one. It's an acrylic. Oh, there we go. Looks like it is done. Yay! I'm excited. Okay, you're in California. I was worried when Joseph said earlier Australia, he was able to bid for if he was in Australia. I'm like, wait, what? No, not international. So yay. So there we go. That one is done. Thank you guys so much for joining. This was fun, minus me stumbling over my words constantly. That's going to not be fun to edit and try to make any of this make sense. I will be doing very soon a hair video tutorial. We'll talk about the color. We'll talk about the shape of hair, making realistic hair. I'll have to do some in colored pencil. I'll have to do another lesson in acrylics to go through all that. So we have some good lessons coming. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much to all of our moderators and Joseph and Nick for messaging me all of these questions and helping out with everything. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't think so. Let's see. Boys say hi. No, they actually say bye. And we will go ahead and end with their Patreon ad.
Without treats, these puppies are so sad. Your Patreon pledge of only $4 or more gives them cookies of happiness. Act now, and the bad cow gets a treat too. Oh, and you also get over 300 art lessons and a new one every single week, plus other rewards. Sign up at patreon.com/Lachri.